Curtis, and welcome to the show. Got one I think you're really going to love today. Pasta with love. I'm going to share that with you on today's episode. Also, I've got a clip of Mama, another clip of my mother. Anyway, let's go inside and do some cooking. Remember, spread love. Thanks for watching. The ingredients we're going to use for this recipe: butter, tomatoes, a large carrot, onion. Now this is a sweet onion. It's a Texas sweet, and we'll talk about that a little later. Mushrooms, and I've got chanterelles. These are the beautiful chanterelle mushrooms, and the shiitake. Both of these are totally just, they have so much flavor. And during my years when I was a meat-free eater, these were like a staple of my diet. It's funny, when I didn't eat meat, the only thing I really missed was that texture. So when I started cooking more mushrooms in dishes and even making mushroom burgers, that texture, the texture of mushrooms is very fleshy like. And if you don't believe me, squeeze a mushroom, then squeeze your earlobe. You go, whoa. Now I'm not saying eat an earlobe, mushrooms are the way to go, okay? Salt, pepper, gonna have a little olive oil, use some olive oil to help raise the smoking point of that butter. And the wonderful ingredient today is that right there, herbe de Provence, herbs from the south of France. And later on, maybe I'll break it down and show you how you can make your own herbe de Provence mixture. It's got the blend there. The thing that I love most in the herbe de Provence is that it has that organic lavender in there. And not only does it smell great, it tastes incredible. And we're going to serve it today over farfalle, the bow tie pasta. Now, utensils, I've got a grater because we're going to grate the carrot. I love to have my bash and chop because you can scoop things off the countertop real easily with that. I'm going to have a saute pan and, of course, a large pot to cook our pasta in, right way out here hiding in the corner. Okay. As you can see, I've started the water for the pasta. Going to add a little bit of salt and olive oil to that. You don't have to do that, but I think it helps to flavor it up. Also keeps it from sticking so much. On October 28th, it was a Thursday, we celebrated the 20th anniversary of NCTV, formerly known as Impact. Novato Community Television. And for those of you who couldn't make it, there were a lot of questions, people asking about cookbooks and things. So these are some of the books I've written over the years. My first book, this one here, Curtis Aikens' Guide to the Harvest, it's kind of tips on buying and using fresh fruits and vegetables. There's about 200 recipes or more in there, a lot from my mama. This is a book we put together, Mom, my niece Joy, and myself, along with Stacy Antine, who's an incredible nutritionist from New York. She wrote the foreword, and that we take this book out when we're doing charity events. It's very inexpensive for me to produce, so I'm able to help the charities that we work with do some fundraising. So that's available. This book is a totally meat-free cookbook. Curtis Cooks with Heart and Soul. I truly enjoyed putting this book together. Years ago, I did a television show with the great Isaac Hayes, and he named his cookbook Isaac Hayes, Cooks with Heart and Soul. I said, brother, you stole the name of my cookbook. We both had a laugh about that. This was my latest cookbook, ABC Soup. You know, this book is near and dear to my heart because I share, well, they all are. I share my past of non-reading and then what happens and how life comes about when you learn to read, or when you overcome whatever obstacle is you overcome or have overcome in your life. The trauma that we all, so many of us, I dare say we all have some type of trauma that we're dealing with, whether we face it or not. Back in the day when I was coaching high school football and baseball, I would wear two different shoes. And the thing, and when I was doing cooking demonstrations with children, I would point, they would notice the two different shoes, and they loved it. And I would express to the children, it's okay to be different. So that was a way of saying, it's all right, accept my differences and move forward with it. And so I wear those two different shoes to let the kids know, hey, it was fun. All right, y'all, let's cook. The water started to boil, so I'm gonna go ahead and add the pasta. Now, and I moved it to the back burner just to give us more space. Gonna add my noodles, the farfalle. Most package directions say to cook your dry pasta 12 to 14 minutes. I do like my pasta past al dente, so I cook a little longer, maybe 18 to 20 minutes is where I'll cook my pasta. Then I check it because I really do like softer pasta. Seems like my system digests that better. Okay, so we'll check that in about 15 minutes, see how it's coming along. Vegetables. Two things I want to share with you. That's a really big onion, and this is a sweet onion. This is a Granite X from Texas. And I've always given the rule when it comes to buying sweet onions, the flatter the onion, the milder the taste. And there's always an exception. Those farmers in Texas, they like to do things big. So they're the exception to the rule. Big oval. They're nice and sweet. However, they do have a little more of that sulfite, I think, than Vidalia and Walla Walla. We're not going to need that much onion for this recipe. So I went to my fridge. I like to use things up, and I've got about a quarter of a large onion left over. So we're going to dice that up. Again, reminding you safety. A little wet paper towel underneath your cutting board. It locks it into place. Also, we're just going to prep our onion. Just run those lines right down. Run your knife right down. You got a nice chopped onion. Diced onion, I should say. Look how fine those pieces are. Isn't that gorgeous? And I tell folks, whenever I'm doing cooking classes, whether it's with kids or with grown-ups, get your skill level up before you try to speed up, okay? Yes, in restaurants, we've got to do things quick. However, we have to make sure we do them safely. So work on your knife skills before you start trying to work on your speed skills. Okay, there's our onion. It's ready to go. And I'm going to prepare these ingredients in the order in which they will go in the pan. All right, we're just going to grate our carrot. I've washed and I'm going to dry the carrot off and just remove the little root end of it. Not very much. Again, and I want you to notice how much volume we get from one grated carrot. This recipe, my pasta with love, years ago when I was working with the Food Network, whoops, maybe I should switch out and get a different container to grate this in. Yeah, I was losing some carrot out of the back of there, so I'm going to switch to one of these rectangle containers here. And I truly love cooking for you in my kitchen because you see, the whole thing is about making it accessible for anyone. We do make mistakes in our kitchen, the pros. So don't worry, like that right there. I thought the little bowl would be a great place to grate the carrot in. However, it was shooting out the back. So you notice how I'm leaning this to the side and the carrot just falls right in there. And if we use the old-fashioned grade box that Mama used, it would all be right down at the bottom. So this is one carrot that we're going to grate up here. The actual recipe, the original recipe that I prepared, called for 2 carrots grated because we were making a little more volume. I think we were going to serve, the original recipe was to serve 4 people, and we were going to upscale it because I was telling the story earlier that this recipe came about back in the 1990s. The Dalai Lama was coming to New York, a little fundraiser, and one of my dearest buddies, Drew Nepurant, great guy from the Myriad Restaurant Group, asked me if I would like to be a part of the festivities. And I'm like, of course, for the Dalai Lama, of course. And because of events like that, becomes so much politics involved. I backed out. My recipe was, I found out, the only meat-free recipe that was submitted. And I'm like, really? Don't people know who they're cooking for? The Dalai Lama is a vegetarian. Now look at that. All that's grated down now. What I want you to notice is the volume. Look how much carrot is grated from that one little carrot. Now the carrot is a big part of this recipe because it adds the sweet to the sauce that we're going to make, because the pasta is the bow tie, the love is this beautiful sweet and savory sauce we're making. And if you want to equate it to an Italian sauce, be kind of like a puttanesca, a quick and easy sauce. You know, I'm not going to explain what the word puttanesca is in Italiano. Those of you who speak Italian know what it means. Okay, let's do our tomatoes next, and we'll talk about the mushrooms when we get there, because I'm going to take and saute the mushrooms in a different pan, and I'll talk about that as we are sauteing the mushrooms while we're doing that. So right now we're just going to get our tomatoes ready. I'm cutting the bottom off so they just sit nicely up there on the cutting board, and we'll do a little circle cut to remove that little stem end. Just take one of your paring knives, and when I talk about a circle cut, you know, again, knife safety. Notice how I'm holding that, and we're going to put it in just a little bit and do a circle with to remove that core. That's all it takes. See that? Boom, falls right out. So you don't have to eat that green stem. Same thing, just a little circle. It's funny when you're cooking, you know. It's like my mom, she's with me. All these little things that she did in the kitchen before I became a chef, if you will. I just go back to these lessons that Mom taught, and how incredible she was in her kitchen. And she was not a trained chef. She was just, as Mama say, a cook, you know. And I don't think I know any chefs that are any better in the kitchen than my mama was. So Mama, here's to you, baby. In fact, on today's show, I think I'll do a blast from the past, because we're getting close to Christmas, the holiday season. I think we'll do a blast from the past, and I'll share with you my mother's pecan pie that she made on a show years ago down in Los Angeles. I think it was the first appearance my boys made on television. So we'll get these tomatoes all chopped up, and then we'll prep our mushrooms, and we can move to stovetop and start our cooking. You like that? All right, so let me prep these up, and we will go to work. Well, while I finish prepping these tomatoes, I want you all to take a look at Mom in her prime when she made a guest appearance down in Los Angeles. Grandmother's Cooking.
Challenge continues with some down-home Southern cooking from the grandmother of 12. Her grandchildren call her Sweet Mama. She's Laura Bell Aikens.